Steelers fans, I think I have figured out why Aaron Rodgers has not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point, despite a bunch of different signals indicating his interest in the football team. All right, I'm going to be explaining the date that you can probably expect Aaron Rodgers to make his decision by, and if he doesn't pick the Pittsburgh Steelers by this particular date, I think it's officially worry time in Pittsburgh when it comes to the Aaron Rodgers saga. Before we get into today's video, guys, you have to sub to the channel, all right? Because when that breaking news alert comes, we are going to be rushing to the office right here, and we are going to be going live for the Aaron Rodgers decision whenever it comes, whether it's 10 minutes from now or whether it's 10 months from now. We are going to be going live, probably not 10 months, but we will be going live whenever the Aaron Rodgers decision comes down. We'll be giving away a Steelers jersey on that live show as well. So make sure you click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications for the latest updates surrounding Aaron Rodgers. So my theory is that Rodgers has already agreed to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, but he is waiting to make the official announcement somewhere close to Pat McAfee's big event in Pittsburgh next week on Wednesday. It is called the Big Night Out. All right, and he's got a big venue there, a bunch of different tickets that have already gone on sale and sold out. And I think that this is something that, Aaron Rodgers would be very interested in kind of crashing and kind of making his own, especially if he's going to be signing a contract to be the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The date for that is next Wednesday, April 9th. And listen, man, I get it. It sounds crazy. If you would have told me that this was what he was planning 2 weeks ago, I would have said you were absolutely nuts. But the evidence kind of does line up for this to be the case, that he has already agreed to join the Steelers, but he wants to wait for this event to make the decision final. All right, so let's take a look at some of the latest reports surrounding Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports said a couple days ago, it feels like a matter of when, not if, Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says that's the feeling around the National Football League at this point. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN said many believe Pittsburgh has a quote-unquote loose assurance that Rodgers will sign with them this year. You've also got Hathorne, who is a Steelers insider for the Fan, says Pittsburgh said just straight up they have a secret deal done with Aaron Rodgers. And then Nick Farabaugh from Penn Live says Pittsburgh is quote unquote extremely confident that they will land Aaron Rodgers. Then there was other positive signs that have just been going on over the last several weeks. There has been quote unquote ongoing conversations since the beginning of free agency between Rodgers and the Steelers coaching staff, which of course includes Mike Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and those are still ongoing according to Tom Pelissero. He initiated a 6-hour visit in Pittsburgh that was quote-unquote beyond the pitch, and apparently he was the one that planned that visit, all right? Also, he has been in contact with multiple Steelers players, including starting tight end Pat Freiermuth, and then he had an exclusive throwing session with new number one Steelers receiver DK Metcalf in L.A. All of these things, guys, point to Rodgers wanting to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers eventually. And think about it for a second here, guys. We heard Mike Tomlin, we heard Omar Khan, we heard Art Rooney II talk about how confident they are that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with them this week in Palm Beach for the NFL owners meetings. Why would Pittsburgh feel so confident that they're going to get Rodgers, despite the fact that we are almost a month into NFL free agency and he has still not decided to sign with them? And then also, you might be asking at home here, if the deal is already agreed to, why wait to sign the contract? Why not just sign the contract and, just make it, just have it be done? Well, I think the answer to that question, guys, is that Aaron Rodgers throughout his career has given Pat McAfee very exclusive information and scoops on his career on his program. Back in 2023, Rodgers announced his decision to join the New York Jets, or that he wanted to be traded to the New York Jets, on the Pat McAfee show after he emerged from that darkness retreat where apparently he got some clairvoyance that he had to go to New York City. And keep in mind here, guys, I think in his mind that he could get a hero's welcome from Pittsburgh's, faithful there in Pittsburgh. If he shows up and, there's still not a decision made, and all of a sudden Pat McAfee says, please help us in welcoming your new quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, and he comes out and he's wearing Steelers gear and the crowd's going wild. Like, you're telling me Aaron Rodgers wouldn't eat that shit up? I mean, absolutely he would, all right? Like, it just makes all the sense in the world to me. And, you think about it from Rodgers' Rodgers' perspective, in theory, there's no harm in waiting until April 9th, okay? Because OTAs don't start for the Pittsburgh Steelers and voluntary workouts for this team don't start until April 21st. So maybe in his thinking here, why does it matter if I wait until April 9th? Because I'm not needed on the field with my teammates to build new chemistry until April 9th. And then he's passing the time until April 9th, working out and communicating with Steelers coaches and players just as if he's getting prepared to play quarterback for them in 2025. It just makes all the sense in the world here, guys. And my guess is that Rodgers either makes this decision official next Tuesday, the day before Big Night Out, so that he can go there on Wednesday and kind of get a hero's welcome, or he announces it himself at the event on Wednesday night. I think those are probably the two most likely times that we are going to hear about Aaron Rodgers' decision to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. And listen, man, I understand Pat McAfee has been denying this on his show, all right? And he's denied it multiple times at this point. But that's exactly what Rodgers would be telling him to say right now. What do you think Rodgers would want them to say? Oh, yeah, Rodgers is going to be joining us on Big Night Out. No, he would want it to be a secret. He would want it to be a WWE-style, Undertaker-style entrance, all right? So I absolutely think Pat McAfee, if this is the case, I absolutely think McAfee and his cohorts would absolutely keep this a secret for Aaron if he wanted it to be kept a secret. And I think at this point that is what is being done. And, I will say this though, guys. If Aaron Rodgers is not a Pittsburgh Steeler past that date, if we get to Big Night Out and nothing happens and we still don't have a decision on Rodgers, then I think I'm going to start to be worried, because past that, I don't know what else he would be waiting for, all right? And I really, really don't understand what else he would be waiting for. There's some people that have a theory as to what else he could be waiting for. I'll cover that here in just one moment. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone. You can download it for free on your phone right now and join over 10 million members and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts like player projections up to 25%. To provide even more value for your lineups. You guys can project more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball with the Final Four coming up here pretty soon, whether it's professional basketball, all these different things that are going on right now. Even if you want to go Prize Picks on NASCAR, you can do that as well. So you can download the app today, use code CLNS. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so now let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings, because there's a lot of people that are suggesting that even though the Minnesota Vikings came out literally weeks ago at this point saying, we don't want the guy, there's still some people speculating that the reason why Rodgers is waiting for so long is because he wants to wait and see if Minnesota will eventually throw J.J. McCarthy in the trash can for a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Now, Tom Pelissero said this on March 19th, all right? So this is a half month ago, guys. The Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. And by the way, the Vikings GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and the head coach, Kevin O'Connell, have both said publicly that they are not interested in Aaron Rodgers at this point, yet people still want to push the Vikings narrative. And who knows, maybe it is true that Rodgers is just delusional and wants to go with the Minnesota Vikings even though they've said that they don't want him. But this is what we know right now. Rodgers did reach out to the Vikings in the early days of free agency to see if they were interested. He is close with head coach Kevin O'Connell. They had some conversations of what the offense would look like. Minnesota mulled over the Rodgers possibility, but then came to the conclusion that they believe in J.J. McCarthy because his rehab is going very well off of that meniscus injury last year, and have decided to commit to him as their QB1, not Aaron Rodgers. And now Minnesota has not fully closed the door on Rodgers. They have said, oh, nothing's ever 100% off the table. But listen, man, I think the only way that Rodgers can sneak into Minnesota is if JJ just has an awful offseason or if he has some sort of medical setback. And, I think that there's a very, very small chance that ends up being a possibility, guys. I mean, these workouts are done in shorts. They're done in a situation where the quarterback is designed to look good. So unless McCarthy is just an absolute freaking disaster, or if he gets hurt again somehow, I just don't see any way that Rodgers is going to sneak his way in to the Minnesota Vikings circle. And I also think, if Rodgers' strategy is to wait as long as it takes for the Vikings to sign him, I think that's a dumb strategy if his strategy is to win football games next year. I truly believe that. The Steelers, I don't think, have as good of a situation as Minnesota does, but it's not a bad situation. They've won 10 games with subpar quarterback and offensive play the last 2 years, and their defense is filled with all-pro caliber talent. They just added DK Metcalf, who is an awesome talent. Rodgers would know that. He worked out with him. But Rodgers requires communication and chemistry with his wide receivers, guys. He needs it. He has so many hand signals and audibles and checks at the line of scrimmage. If he's joining the Minnesota Vikings in training camp after J.J. McCarthy gets hurt again, and that's what he's banking on, even if that happens and he signs with the Vikings, is he going to develop the chemistry that's needed to run his style of offense in Minnesota? I really don't think that's going to be the case. But right now it seems like he's already building that chemistry with DK Metcalf with that exclusive throwing session that he had at UCLA. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers, he definitely wants those photos and that video out there of him working out with DK because there's no way that leaks if he doesn't want it out there. So I really do think, guys, that Rodgers would have a better chance to win next season in Pittsburgh as opposed to waiting and missing time to develop chemistry with his receivers in Minnesota. I agree with him. If I were Aaron Rodgers, I would have given Kevin O'Connell that call at the beginning of NFL free agency. I would have wanted the Vikings over the Steelers. But the Vikings are not in on him, and they won't be in on him for weeks at this point. So if Rodgers wants a home for 2025, I think Pittsburgh is the one that makes the most sense for him. Now, where I'm at with this entire situation, guys, is I don't think Rodgers is waiting on Minnesota. Like I talked about, I think he's waiting on the Pat McAfee show's Big Night Out in Pittsburgh next Wednesday. But if we get to next Thursday with no deal done with him being the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback, it's like, what other options are there? Then he just doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh. And that's what worries me. All right. So I think we've got about a week left before the Big Night Out to have an answer from Aaron Rodgers. And if we get that, great. He's the starting quarterback of this team. We can move forward with that. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. Sometime early next week, we're going to hear from Rodgers, and he's going to be at the Big Night Out, and it's going to be a whole fanfare. But if we get past that event and he is still not the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers and he's not under contract, it's going to be officially panic time when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation as far as I'm concerned. So what's the hold up here? Let me know what you guys think. Down there in the comments section, type PM if you think he's waiting for the Pat McAfee show. Type MV if you think he's waiting for the Minnesota Vikings. Or if you have some other theory, let me know down there in the comments section. What the heck is taking Rodgers so long to make this decision? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more Aaron Rodgers updates as they come all throughout the weekend. Really do appreciate all of your support. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.